Hey everyone, welcome to this session of Unshakable Living, where we take the shakeable parts of life and make them unshakable. Last time we talked about debt. Today we're going to take it to the next level. Let's get you out of that hole from the last time, and let's get you moving forward on making sure you're not spending your money in the wrong spots or overspending. How do you do that? Chapter 2 of the class called Budgeting. Yes, budgeting. Budgeting is not a fun topic for most people. They don't like talking about, okay, let's make a grocery list for our finances. However, it's a fatal financial mistake if you do not do it. Why is it a fatal financial mistake? There are stats out there that say 65% of people do not budget whatsoever. That's a punch in the face right there. No budgeting whatsoever. The bigger one, out of those people that don't budget, they don't know where 20% or more of their money goes. That's crazy. Think about that. If you make $10,000 a month, that means you would not know where $2,000 per month goes. Over the course of the year, that's $24,000. Over the course of 10 years, with no raises or anything, that's $240,000. And if you had that money invested, who knows what it could be, $500,000, maybe even more. See how it's a fatal financial mistake. So budgeting, even though it's like a root canal, you don't want to get it done, don't let that toothache get worse. Let's take care of it and make sure you're being unshakable and you have it taken care of. So we're going to dive right in on a budget and what does it actually look like. And if you're listening in, before I go on to the screen that shows the budget, reach out, www.redwoodfinancialstrategies.com. I will get you a copy of the budget we're going to share for free. If you're watching and you want it, same thing, same deal. Reach out, we'll get you one for free. So let's dive into the budget. Let's take a look. Here's the first budget to look at, a blank one, so nice and easy. Most people, when they do a budget, they'll sit down with just a sheet of paper and just jot down some of the main items that they know. What you really need to do to make sure your budget is done correctly is list out everything that you usually spend on a monthly and annual basis, not just the monthly ones. Here's why. We're going to go into an example budget worksheet that's filled out. For this example, for those that can't see it, it's a household income of about $145,000. One spouse makes $60,000. The other one makes around $85,000. So nice dual income household. They got a lot of expenses though. They put a bunch of things in, and this is, again, the way a budget should look. You want to fill it as much as you can. If you don't actually have it, so in this case it shows a mortgage around $2,000, then it asks for a second mortgage or home equity line. If you don't have it, just leave it blank, no problem, but at least it's on there in case it gets added later. You know where you got to fill that in. Other items, taxes, homeowners insurance, all those items get filled in. Where people make a lot of mistakes on this is, one, they get overwhelmed before they really should. A budget is fairly simple. It should take 15 to 30 minutes. If you want, you can do that to the exact penny, but you really don't need to. You should know where your money is going, and if you don't, go through, take a look, find those bills or those expenditures that are going out, and get an average of it. Take that average, usually bump it up a little bit. A great example of this is utility bills. Lots of time utility bills, especially if you're in the Midwest like I am here. In the winter, it's a lot more. Maybe it's $100 a month for the utility bill in the summer, but it's $200 in the winter. Well, what I do is average that out, and so I'd say about $150, and maybe even add a few bucks to it, $155, just to play it safe. But now I'm not spending a bunch of time trying to figure out, oh, where does this go? What's this? This month is going to be totally different. Again, get these as good, solid, estimated monthly numbers. The other part, annual items. Most people mess their budget up because they miss this. Here's a big one, holiday time. Say right around the Christmas holiday, usually those that don't budget for this, right around Black Friday, they go a little crazy. So on the budget that I'm sharing, it shows $3,000 on average they spend on the holiday season. Let's say Black Friday, go crazy spending. December, you're still having all this fun, spending money. All of a sudden, January comes by and there's a huge credit card bill and you're going, I don't know how to plan and pay this one off. How you do that? Plan for it in advance. Hey, I think we usually spend $3,000. Let's plan $250 a month to be in our budget. Once you get done filling out the budget worksheet, then it will show based off that income minus out your fixed expenses. This is an important one. Fixed expenses are the ones you don't want to miss. Your mortgage, your car payment, taxes. You don't want to miss paying those, health insurance. Those are going to fall in fixed. Other expenses are what we call your discretionary expenses. Discretionary expenses are things like the holidays. You could spend $1,000 instead of $3,000, so that is something you can alter. A big one for a lot of people: dining out, vacations, buying video games. Any of those are really what we would consider discretionary spending. So in this case, on this scenario, it shows about $2,225. That is just on the items that they like or plan for to enjoy their lifestyle. From there, you have total expense, and then the big part. Usually one of two things happens, especially if you have not budgeted before. You're surprised with how much you have in savings, which I hope it goes that route for you, or the number is negative and you're blown away with how much you're overspending. Very rarely do you get that third option of people going, oh yeah, we were right where we thought we would be, but it does happen from time to time. So if you have the joy of finding, hey, we have more than we thought we were savings, well, where are you putting it already? Let's get that part figured out. If you're overspending, then you really got to go through and figure out where can we make some cuts. First things first, on the other expenses, discretionary, start there. If that doesn't cut it down enough, then we got to look at the fixed expenses, and maybe we've overextended ourselves and we really need to work our way back. Hopefully it's not the case for you. So getting back to it, the budget, you want to make sure you get that done. That is step one. Step two, and this is where you take it to the next level, is where we do what I call a cash diet. Just like you do a diet to get in shape, it's not going to be I'm going to diet for a day and I'll be good by tomorrow. You're going to have to stick with this one. So that's why we call it a diet, because it's going to take months before you may see the actual results. And on top of that, that's when you're going to create the good habit. A lot of times people will diet for a week and then stop. That's why it doesn't work. If you diet for 3 months, a lot of times you stick with a lot of those things you've learned because it becomes a habit. I want you to do the same with your budgeting. Keep this top of mind, and then over the next 2 to 3 months, it starts to become a habit. So how do you do a cash diet? Let's take a look. Here's a sample of doing a cash diet. And for those that are listening in, again, get to the copy of the budget worksheet at redwoodfinancialstrategies.com. But what we're doing is going to single out the ones that we could just pay cash for. So on the budget worksheet, after you have it done, go through and highlight areas that you could pay in cash versus putting it on a credit card. So for example, anytime you go to a movie, you go dining out, groceries, you can easily go in, and again, because you're right there face to face anyways, pay in cash versus a credit card. Why and how does this work? A few different reasons. One, people start to mentally budget when they only have so much cash in their pocket. Where if we have a credit card, we have lost that mental budgeting that we do. It's just spend, spend, spend. So let's pull that back, and that's why the cash diet works. You have a certain amount you can only spend when you go out. So for example, I decide I'm going to go grocery shopping and for 1 week, and it's going to be $150 for that week. I go, take $150 and go to the grocery store. Now I'm not going to have my impulse buys of, hey, those crab legs look great, or this little item over here that I don't need, I should be buying. Those don't happen because, again, you're looking at going, I only brought 150. All right, I got to make sure I get these items. It really doesn't make your lifestyle any worse because you're not spending the money. It just keeps you in check, and it's a very easy way to do it because, again, that's how much money you have in your pocket at that time. So now you have your cash diet. How do you actually go about doing this? Well, basically at the beginning of the month, go to the bank and get it out in cash. On the example I shared, there was actually $3,120 that we identified that could be paid in cash. So in that person's scenario, they would go to the bank, get $3,120 in big bills, hundreds, 50s, and 20s. It's another psychological move where if you have the big bills, the hundreds and 50s especially, A lot of times we don't like spending those because you don't like getting all that change back. So it's crazy how by just having those little extra items along the way that we end up staying within our budget that much better. Then the fun part with this is at the end of the month, so you had $3,120 in that example, at the end of the month, see where you're at. Hopefully, which most people have a little bit of a surplus because they want to stay good with their diet that first month. They have a little bit of a surplus. If you did overspend, see where the overspending happened and see if we need to rechange up that cash diet side of things. But if you had the surplus, here's what you do. Let's say, again, on that $3,120, you had $500 of surplus. I will take that $500, and just like you should with any diet, don't forget to reward yourself every now and then. You know, it's a challenge. You did a great job doing it. But then also take some of the rewards and put them aside. So on $500, I just split it. Half of it, $250, I'm going to carry forward to the next month so I can spend a little bit more. So maybe this time now when I go to the grocery store, I can get those crab legs, reward myself. The other $250, I'm going to set aside into savings or investments. Month 2, do the same thing. If you have a surplus, carry it over to the next month, reward yourself. On month 3, that's the big change. Let's say every month I had a $500 surplus. Now on that 3rd month, now I'm going to finally go back and say, all right, I've gotten used to this. I am now actually just going to change my cash diet and I'm going to lower it by the $500 because that's usually what I'm spending, and I'm already going to figure out where I'm going to go put this other $500, whether it's savings, investments, somewhere else, paying off debt, somewhere you want it to go. So 3 months, really stick with it, and then it becomes a habit. That's the key to budgeting, is 1, getting it down, and 2, trying to put something in there, or I shouldn't say try, put something in there new that's going to make you stick with it. So that way you can have the impact that you want to see on your finances. With that, budgeting, it's not that hard. Do it, do it, do it, and become unshakable on that. In our next session, we're going to hit one big on credit. People all the time are wondering, hey, how do I improve my credit score? That's part of it. But then how can I take advantage of the credit? That's the other part. With that, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.